Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. You're welcome to another episode of my live show every Thursday. I'm here by 12 noon to speak with parents who are raising adolescents, raising children between the ages of 10 and 24. So are you raising a preteen? Are you raising a teenager? Or are you raising a young adult? This live show is for you. And every Thursday I come here to give information, tips, strategies on how you can raise your adolescents into well-balanced individuals. So my name is Oluwatoyin Okukomi. For those who are just joining for the first time, my name is Oluwatoyin Okukomi. I'm the founder of the Smart Parenting Coaching Academy. I'm also a family psychologist. I work with parents and I work with the adolescents. I help parents in connecting and understanding their adolescents, while I also provide psychosocial support for adolescents who might be struggling with one mental health issue or the other. So as you're joining, please, I'd like you to invite other parents. You can share this to other parents who are raising adolescents. Let them be part of this conversation. And today I have another interesting topic that I'll be dealing with, that I'll be addressing. Today I'll be addressing effective strategies parents can use to correct their teenagers' misbehavior. So let me wait for a few minutes. As we're joining, please, I'd like you to put in where you're watching from. If you're watching from Nigeria, please put in the state. If you're watching from outside Nigeria, please put in the country and the town or the county you're watching from. So let's wait for a few minutes, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I go straight into it. So how many of you watched the football match, Nigeria against South Africa yesterday? It was quite a tense one, right? Yes. And a lot of people were on their toes. The tension was quite high. And one of the good things about football is that it's one thing that actually unites us as a nation. This is one topic that unites us as a nation. So for parents raising adolescents, another topic that unites parents raising adolescents is discipline, correction, and misbehavior. So today I'll be talking about that, how we can use the right corrective tools in handling our teenagers' misbehavior. Okay, so Annie here says she's watching from United States. Thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you so much. Thank you. Facebook, where are you watching from? So I'm connecting with Facebook. I'm also connecting with Instagram. So thank you so much. So let's go straight into what I have to talk about today. So when you talk about misbehavior, there are different types. But when it comes to teenagers and it comes to adolescents, one of the things we need to know is that misbehavior, children will do certain things that are not in line with what we expect of them. And as parents, we need to understand that when it comes to the way we correct our teenagers or our young adults' misbehavior, actually affects the way we relate with them. So one of the things I do, sorry, says she's watching from Canada. Okay, thank you so much, Adepeju. Thank you so much. So one of the things I do in my Smart Parenting Coaching Academy is that I help parents to connect with their teenagers. And one of the things I've noticed when it comes to parent-teen conflict is that most teenagers complain about the way that parents correct them. They say we either shame them, we criticize them, we blame them, we call them names, we do all sorts of disempowering things when it comes to discipline or when it comes to correcting our teenagers. But the best way to correct your teenager is to use an empowering method. When I talk about empowering method, it means you're using a method that would let the teenager or the child to learn. So that means you're teaching the teenager either a skill, a life skill, or you're teaching the teenager either a moral value or a competence. So to teach is the best way in correcting our teenagers' misbehavior. Last year I did a lot of family counseling. I had a lot of parents coming to see me that they had issues with their teenagers, and there was one particular case that I handled whereby the teenager really didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing, and the way the parents were trying to correct that misbehavior was actually not helping matters, because left to the teenager, he didn't see anything wrong in what he was doing. And one of the tools we use in psychology is called motivational interviewing, where we get the patient or where we get the client to the point where he or she would want to change because of the benefits of change. So when we are correcting our teenagers, when we are trying to correct a misbehavior, first thing we need to understand is that the teenager needs to understand that there is a problem. Because if you're correcting a teenager for a behavior that he or she feels there's nothing wrong with it, everything you do will be kind of waste, won't be effective. So one of the effective way of helping your teenagers to correct his or her misbehavior is to get the teenager to the point of understanding that the behavior is not empowering. The behavior is disempowering. And I remember when I worked with this young patient, with this client, and I made the client to understand that what he was doing at that point in time, I painted different scenarios, I painted different benefits and of changing the behavior. That was when the patient was actually able to see that, oh, I actually need to change. So our corrective measures could actually be an hindrance in building a healthy relationship with our teenagers. Another thing we need to know when it comes to correcting our teenagers, correcting their misbehavior, is that we need to understand the root cause of the behavior. One of the things I love doing when it comes, maybe because I'm a psychologist anyway, is I always like to go to the root cause of the behavior. Why is this child acting this way? Why is this teenager acting this way? Why is this young adult acting this way? So root cause analysis is always important. It's important as parents to identify the root cause of the behavior, because when you're able to identify the root cause of the behavior, preferring a solution will become easier. And there are different root causes to our teenagers' misbehaviors. So I'm going to list some of the root causes, then I'll go into the solutions, the effective method on how to help them change from this behavior. So one of the the first root cause I'll look at is maybe there's an emotional need. So when I talk with parents, in our smart parenting group, one of the things I tell parents is that every misbehavior is a feedback that there's something wrong. So every misbehavior you see in your child is a feedback that something is wrong. It's a feedback that either an emotional need was not met, it's a feedback that a skill was not taught, it's a feedback that a skill was taught but the child did not learn the skill. So the first step the first strategy in correcting a misbehavior is identifying the root cause. Now, if it's an emotional need not met, maybe a connection, your child might be misbehaving because your child is trying to seek your attention. That could be one reason for misbehavior. Another reason for misbehavior in our teenagers is when they're seeking independence, where there's a power tussle. Your child wants to do things for himself, by himself. Your child wants to take certain decisions by himself. This could be another root cause of misbehavior in teenagers. Another root cause for misbehavior in your teenager is when they are angry at you and they are being revengeful. They just want to, pay you back for what you've done for them. I remember there was a particular video I watched last week where a particular girl they were in a therapy session, herself and her mom, and she was telling the mom that, "Mom, do you remember the time I told you that I was sexually harassed or something?" I can't remember the word she used. And you said nothing. You just said okay, and you lit your cigarette and went away, And because of that, the child was angry. And because of that anger, the child started misbehaving. So anger could be another root cause for misbehavior in our teenagers. They're angry at certain things we've done. They're angry at certain things we've not done. And they're just being revengeful. That's another reason. So under the emotional need, there's no connection. Maybe your child is seeking attention. Your child is seeking independence. There's power tussle. Your child is angry at you for certain things you have done, and the child is being revengeful. Now, another reason for misbehavior in teenagers could be due to peer pressure. They are being influenced negatively by certain people around them, maybe their friends or media or peer pressure. That could be another root cause of misbehavior in our teenagers. Another root cause of misbehavior in teenagers is when they are struggling with identity. They're trying to know themselves. A few weeks ago, I spoke about how to guide our teenagers in building their identity. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch the previous videos I've posted on my page. Struggling with identity is another root cause for misbehavior in our teenagers. You know, they're trying to find out who they are. They are moving from childhood into adolescence. They're trying out different persona, and at times they could actually be, mood swings. That's another reason for misbehavior in our teenagers. When they have mood swings, they're going through the developmental changes. That could be another root cause. So like I said, it's important that we understand the reason for the misbehavior first before we go ahead to address it. Because if you don't understand the reason for the misbehavior and you are trying to handle or deal with the behavior or correct the behavior, you might end up doing the wrong thing. Another reason or another root cause for misbehavior in teenagers is when there's a shift in the family dynamics. Either parents are divorced, parents are always fighting, there is conflict between parents and the children, or parents and neighbors, or where there's poor communication between the parents and the children, or where there's inconsistent and permissive parenting style. That could be another cause of misbehavior in your teenagers. So it's important someone says, please, how do you talk to your teen that tells you he or she has a crush on a boy in a class? That's another topic for another day. That's when we're talking about how to start the sexuality conversation. When we have that topic, I'll talk about that. But let me just give you a brief things you can talk about. One of the things I tell teenagers is that crushes will come and go. Crushes will come and go. But it's what they do with these crushes that matters. So one of the things I tell my teenagers is that when you have a crush, what is that particular reason you have a crush on that person? Most times, teenagers have crush because of something. So let's hold it there and let me continue with our conversation for today. So back to my conversation. So I said family dynamics could be another reason for there being conflict between you and your child, for there being for your teenager misbehaving. Your child would misbehave when they realizes that parents are either there are troubles between the parents are separating, or there's a divorce about to happen. That could be a source of conflict for the child, and the child would actually act out because of that. Another reason I said is poor communication, inconsistent and permissive parenting strategies. This is another reason for a child misbehaving. I remember there was a particular family I worked with, and the parenting style of the mother was quite different from the parenting style of the father. And because the children noticed this, whenever they wanted to do anything, they will ask the mother first. They know the mother will say yes before they go and ask the dad. And the dad was always getting upset that why are you being so permissive as a parent? And the father was more of the authoritarian parenting style. So when there's inconsistency in the parenting style of the parent, the children will misbehave. That's a given. The parents will misbehave. Now, another reason for misbehavior in teenagers is when they have academic challenges. So another story, I remember this particular patient I was seeing, and the child was struggling with the academics, and because the child did not have a good relationship with the parents, the child could not speak to the parents and tell the parents that she was struggling in school. The child was just always acting out at home, and the parents were wondering, so why are you acting out? Why are you always angry? Why are you always being rude? Why, you know? And the child actually reached out to me and told me that I'm struggling in school. I'm not understanding what my teachers are teaching. And my parents expect me to come home with a very good result, but I'm not understanding what I'm being taught in the university. So as parents, we need to understand, we need to get to the root cause of our children's misbehavior before we say we want to go ahead to resolve it or handle it. Now, another reason for misbehavior in teenagers or young adults could be due to the emotional and mental health challenges. So you have a teenager that is battling with depression, or you have a young adult that is battling with anxiety, or you have a young adult that has a bipolar disorder. There will be misbehavior. And for parents who do not understand this, you would always be at loggerheads with your child, always trying to correct, always trying to change, always trying to control, not knowing that these children are actually battling with certain things. So it's important as parents that before we say we want to handle any misbehavior, we get to the root cause of the misbehavior. Then also lack of boundary. As a parent, you've not been able to set boundaries for your children. As a parent, you've not been able to create structure in your home. Of course, the child will misbehave, you know. So as parents, it's very important that we are present in the lives of our children. It's very important that we create the appropriate structures for them. It's very important as parents that we understand the children we are raising. So, for example, you are a choleric parent and you have a child that is you have a child as a sanguine, and you as a parent, you are melancholic, and you're wondering why your child is always going out, you're wondering why your child always has to be around people. That could be a source of conflict. And to you as a parent, you see the child as the child is always going out. I'll say don't go out, you want to go out, not knowing that the child's temperament needs to be out there. You know, the child feels alive when he or she is with people. So it's important as parents that we also understand our children's temperament when it comes to understanding the source of misbehavior in them. Then we also have substance abuse. This is another major reason or major cause of misbehavior in teenagers. So one of the things I do, so when a parent calls me and say, oh, Coach T, I'd like you to please address an issue, I have an issue with my teenager or my adolescent, please can you intervene? The first thing I do after doing my initial assessment and all that, the next thing I do, I ask the child, do you use substance? Because when they start using substances change the behavior of a child. And when they start using substances, the child's behavior will change. Parents will not know. Parents will just feel the child is just being rude and all that. So substance abuse is another root cause of misbehavior in our teenagers. So as parents, before we say, oh, I'm going to handle this misbehavior, I'm going to deal with the child, I'm going to punish the child, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, calm down. Just calm down and get to the root cause of the misbehavior. Why is your child acting like this? And I've given I said about 9 root causes. Then we also have social and cultural influences. Maybe things happening on the social media, things happening around. This could also influence a child's behavior and could cause a misbehavior in the child. And finally, I'll be talking on traumatic experiences. Do you know that a lot of parents do not know when their children have gone through a traumatic experience? As a counselor, as a psychologist, I hear a lot of stories and I ask them, so have you spoken to your parents about it? And the child will say, no, I can't tell my mom that I was raped. I can't tell my mom. Or I was sexually abused. I can't tell my mom. Or XYZ. They'll say they can't tell their mom. And when I go further to ask them, why can't you tell your mom? The first thing they always say is that my parents wouldn't understand. The way my parents will react, oh my goodness. My parents will react, you know. And because of that, let me not generalize, some teenagers have gone through certain traumatic experiences that they are afraid to even speak to their mom. I remember there was a time I spoke to a lady, and the lady said, "You are the first person I'm sharing these experiences with." You know, and they feel they can't just speak to their parents about it. And it's another reason for misbehavior in the home. When children feel they can't talk to their parents, when children feel that their parents have not got their back, they tend to act out. And we will now say, oh, this child is misbehaving, this child is not acting right. So what can we do as parents? How can we address misbehavior in our children? I'm going to give about 5 strategies. And for more information on what to do, you need to join our upcoming class starting on the 23rd and 24th of February. It's tagged Parenting Your Teen with Ease. In that class, in that workshop, I have a whole lot that I'm ready to share with you. So today I'll just give 5 strategies on how you can correct this misbehavior in your teenagers. So the first thing you need to know as parents is that every misbehavior is a feedback. Every misbehavior is a feedback. And the best way to correct a misbehavior is to prevent that misbehavior. The best way to correct a misbehavior is to prevent that misbehavior. What do I mean by this? This simply means that as parents, it's important that we have disciplinary measures in the home. And when I talk about discipline, discipline simply means to teach. So you have a child that cannot read. What is the thing you would do as a parent? You would want to teach the child how to read, right? You have a child that cannot swim. What would you do as a parent? You want to teach the child how to swim, right? Great. You have a child that is poor in maths. What would you do as a parent? You want to teach the child how to solve maths problems, right? Great. So when we have children misbehaving, what should be the first thing that should come to our mind? How to teach the child how to act right. That should be the first thing that should come to our mind. How to teach the child to act right. So the best way to correct a misbehavior is to prevent that misbehavior. And how do you prevent a misbehavior? It's by teaching the child what is expected of him or her. Teaching your children what is expected of them. That is the first strategy. Discipline, to teach, is the best way of preventing a misbehavior. You teach your children what is expected of them in terms of values, in terms of life expectation, teaching them life skills, teaching them everything you want your child to know, everything you expect of your child. The first thing is for you to teach the child what to do. Now, the second strategy when it comes to handling misbehavior, I've spoken a whole lot about that, is identifying the root cause of the misbehavior. Like I said, every misbehavior is a feedback. It's a feedback that a skill was not taught. It's a feedback that the skill was taught but not learned. It's a feedback that there's something missing. So identify the root cause of the misbehavior. Very important. The third thing we need to do as parents is to rebuild our relationship with our teenagers. Before you can correct your child, you need to have a very good relationship with that child. If you listened to most of my videos last year, I spoke a whole lot about how we can connect, how we can build connection, how we can build a relationship with our teenagers. It's until you build a good relationship with your teenager, that's when you'll be able to correct them, or that's when you'll be able to teach them. Parents who do not have relationship with their teenagers cannot correct a misbehavior. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. Parents who do not have a relationship with their teenagers cannot correct, cannot teach the teenagers anything. So please ensure you have a good relationship with your teenager. ensure you have a trusting relationship with your teenager. Now the fourth step, or the fourth method in correcting your teenagers, I want to list, I have like 4 steps under the fourth one. You could use verbal correction. Verbal correction, you talking to your teenager. Verbal correction is not you shouting, no. Verbal correction is not you yelling, no. Verbal correction is you rebuking the child, correcting the child for what he or she has done. And it does not involve you yelling, does not involve you criticizing, it does not involve you being abusive or using derogatory words to correct. Verbal correction could be, you could use storytelling. If you remember, I told you about a particular teenager I worked with last year, and I said that the teenager was misbehaving, and the parents could not correct, and the teenager did not see anything wrong in what he or she was doing. And I gave a story. I just gave a very simple story, and I said, imagine you as a lady. So I'm giving this scenario. I said, imagine you as a lady. You have access to Tony Elumelu. That was it. That was the example I gave. Imagine you as a lady. You have access to Tony Elumelu, and you have a proposal, business proposal you want to give to him, you want to share with him. And imagine another lady that comes along with clothes, exposing clothes and all that and all that. Which one of these two do you think Tony Elumelu would want to listen to first? And the person said, the person with the business idea. I said, why? Because the person is offering him something. And I said, great. And that simple explanation was like a light bulb change in the child's brain. So as parents, we could use storytelling, we could use examples of things happening around us, use verbal correction to correct our teenagers' misbehavior. And when we talk about verbal correction, like I said we should not be aggressive, we should not be critical, we should not be abusive or derogatory, we should not say negative things when trying to correct our children. One of the things we need to know is that our children's action is different from who they are. So if your child is doing something wrong, address the issue. Don't attack their personality. When your child is doing something wrong, address the issue and not their personality. There's a difference between who they are, their personality, and the misbehavior. So as parents, please ensure that you are correcting verbally, but do not attack their personality. Address the issue. That's one method in correction. Another is using consequences and setting limits. Using consequences and setting limits. So your child has done something wrong, and like I said, if you remember the first step, I said the first step in correcting a misbehavior is preventing the misbehavior. And when I talk about preventing the misbehavior, I said using discipline as a teaching tool is the first step in correcting a misbehavior. So as parents, let there be consequences, pre-discussed consequences for their actions. Let your teenagers know that this is what will happen if they do X, Y, Z. And that's why when I speak with teenagers in the Smart Parenting Academy, I tell them that your discipline should not be impromptu. Your correction method should not be impromptu. It should be something that has been planned, something that you've gone through with the child, and the child knows that if I do X, Y, Z is what will be done. Using consequences and setting limits. Another way of correcting misbehavior in our children. Now, as parents, another way we can correct misbehavior in them is I've spoken about speaking with them. I've spoken about using consequences and limits. Another way we can correct a misbehavior with them is by using positive reinforcement. So your child has done something right, you reinforce that behavior with something positive. Your child is doing something wrong, you use a negative reinforcement, right? So using positive reinforcement, acknowledging when they've done something right, instead of using punishment to shape the behavior, is very important. Positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement, your child has done something right, and you are rewarding, or you're reinforcing it by using something positive. Now, another way we can correct our teenagers, our young adults, is by modeling the right behavior. So what do you expect of them? So for example, you want your child to be on time, to be time conscious. As parents, you need to be time conscious. As parents, you need to be able to be time conscious. A minute, please. The internet is like there's no network on the. A minute. Uh-oh. I don't know. Instagram, if you can see me, please can you just chat, can you just put it there? A minute. Facebook was still live. Instagram is not connected. Let me see. Instagram, if you can still see me on Instagram, please can you just put in the chat comments, in the comment section that you can see me. So let me continue with the Facebook. So I said modeling the desired behavior. So you want your child to be time conscious. As a parent, how time conscious are you? You know, like I keep saying, our children learn a lot by example. Our children learn a lot by what we say, by what we do, more than what we say. So it's important that we model the right behavior. Modeling is very important. Then another way we can correct our teenager is by collaborating, problem solving skills with them, teaching them how to solve a problem. So if you remember, if you go back to the causes, the root causes of misbehavior in teenagers, I said it could be due to lack of a skill. So if it was due to the fact that a skill was not learned, hi Tolu, thank you so much Tolu for joining. Hi Tolu, thank you for joining. It could be due to the fact that a skill was not learned. And problem solving is one important skill that every teenager needs to learn before they leave home. So as parents, it's important that we teach them how to problem solve, collaborate with them, involve them in problem solving discussions in the home, teach them how to control their emotions, teach them how to be responsible in the home. These are ways we can, okay, let me see. These are ways we can teach them, help them to correct a misbehavior when we problem solve with them. So I've spoken about verbal correction. I've spoken about us identifying the source of the root cause of the problem. I've spoken about using consequences and setting limits. I've spoken about us using storytelling as a method of correction. I've spoken about modeling, modeling the desired behavior. Another way we can actually correct a misbehavior is by monitoring and supervising them. Keeping an eye on your teenagers' activities. I'm not saying you should be the helicopter parent, no, but keeping an eye on your teenager and supervising their activities is very important. it would help them, you could prevent them from getting into trouble. So apart from you teaching, so you've done the teaching, you've explained the why of the teaching, you've taught them the how to do it. Supervision is also important. As parents, we cannot say that, oh, because you've raised them, they are now 18 years old, you let them go. No, you still need to be around them emotionally, physically. They still need to feel your presence. Keeping an eye on them, on what they do, the type of friends they have, and where they go is very important in helping them to correct a misbehavior. And finally, seeking professional help. Maybe the help of if the behavioral issue is consistent, if it's persistent, if it's escalating, if it's something that has to do with either drug use or a mental health issue, please seek a professional. And that's why I'm here. I'm a family psychologist. I work with parents and I work with teenagers in building a healthy relationship and also living a thriving life. Seeking help is important. Please, I remember somebody posted 2 days ago. She works in the UK and she said that most of the time she has intervention for parents of white children. However, she hardly sees parents of black children bringing that African descent, bringing that children. And one of the reasons Africans don't go for therapy is because they don't believe in it. We've spiritualized a lot of things, but therapy actually works. Counseling works. I've seen evidence. I've seen teenagers I've worked with who've moved from one undesirable behavior into a very good, responsible behavior. So seeking professional help is very important. I'm going to post something after this video. We're having a training coming up on the 23rd and 24th of this month. It's a workshop for parents who are raising adolescents, and it starts parenting your adolescents with ease. Every year I have this training 3 times in the year: first quarter, second quarter, and last quarter. So this first cohort for 2024, it's coming up on the 23rd and 24th of this month. Please, I would like you to be part of it. I'm going to post the link. Just click on the link and register. I know the good thing about it, it's going for 20,000 naira. However, I'm giving a half discount for those who will register between today and the 10th of this month. 10th of this month is in 2 days time. Half price. After that, the price goes back to 20,000 naira. So please, I'll need you to register on time. You're going to learn a whole lot. All this 1 hour, 30 minutes training won't really do much, but coming to sit down and coming to the workshop, I'll give you more tools. You have your workbook, we have the worksheet, we have so many tools we're going to use in the class. So please, I'll be expecting you in the class. Come and register for this training. It's just going for 20,000 naira, but there's a 50% discount between today and the 10th of this month. Have a nice day. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined. I need to fix what's happening with Instagram, Facebook. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.